okay, you know.
Get in there, boy.
Son of a bitch.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Rivalry podcast. I'm Stos. This is Joey, and we've got once again Coach Jim with us. Coach, how you doing?
Better than some, not as good as others. Every day above ground makes me happy.
Well, we're happy to see you again, Coach, and we've got some great topics to talk about in the world of basketball. Personally, I think this past weekend, this past Sunday, the game between UConn and Duke was honestly one of the best March Madness games I've personally ever watched. Was there anything about that game that, like, did you guys watch the game by any chance?
I did, and I'm having chills right now, reliving that game. Down 19 to start the second half, really out of the game, except for their center for Connecticut, come back and to play, and phenomenal game, and that'll go down in history as one of the best final, Sweet 16 games. Amazing.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. I couldn't believe that Duke had I saw a statistic where it was like UConn's lead at the end when they went up by one to win it. That
Yeah.
was their first lead of the game since they were up 2-0 to start. So they were up 2-0, then Duke took the lead and they didn't get the lead back until there was like point 0.4 seconds left on the clock. It was insane.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. No, it really was. And I tell you, those Boozer brothers, man, you talk about
Yeah.
some talent. And then you got uh, the shooters for Connecticut, and both coaches were great coaches. And it was just a
Mhm.
phenomenal game to watch.
And coach, I wanted to ask you since you have a lot of coaching experience, and I'm sure you have had your experience with really amazing wins and really tough and defeating losses. What do you kind of say if you're the Duke head coach in that locker room after like a collapse like that? Because when you think about it, they really snatched defeat like out of the jaws of victory. They had that game.
Yeah. It's I've been in that. I've been on both ends of the situation, hitting a basket like that at the end, and getting beat at a basket by the end like that. There's not much you can say, and here's the reason why. A lot of people say, "Well, you got to go in there and chew their butts out and all that kind of stuff." And but what good is it? The season's over. Uh,
Hmm.
uh, you're, they played hard. Um Duke had a great first half. They were missing their shots the second half. They started to turn the ball over a little bit, and the players know they played below par the second half. So there's not much you say because if you what young coaches make the mistake of, if you say you played like a dirty dog, but in much more colorful language, the player never forgets that. And sometimes it's warranted, but why do you want to make a memory that can turn around and bite you in the fanny later on? So
Yeah.
that's my analysis. I thought he coached a great game. People say, well, he should have called a timeout there, or he shouldn't have passed the ball. Uh, When they got the ball in, the only thing I can tell you is I'd have waited for them to foul me
Yeah.
rather than pass the ball. But I guarantee you that was discussed in a timeout. And a lot of times guys go out in the timeout and they forget what was covered. I'll give you a really quick story. We're playing UCLA at Pepperdine. We're up one with 14 seconds to go at Pollock Pavilion. And Farmar was the guard for UCLA. And
Hmm.
we told our best defender, don't leave Farmar. Don't leave Farmar. Three times, don't leave Farmar. The ball came
Yeah.
in. He went to double team him, and they passed the ball back to Farmar, and he hit a 25-footer to beat us at the buzzer. So a lot of times you say things and
Yeah.
it doesn't register. because the heat of the battle, think of what's going on. You got 18,000 people screaming at you. Your adrenaline's off the roof. It's hard to concentrate under those circumstances. So that's what I think.
Yeah. No, that's crazy. And I feel like it definitely felt like it was something like that. I mean, it seemed when I was watching it, at least, he was trying to throw it down court to waste as
Hmm.
much time as possible and the
Right.
buzzer would go out. I feel like as somebody who watches the NBA and somebody who watches college basketball, I've definitely noticed a trend where in late games, college basketball players, a lot of them tend to struggle with free throws. I feel like that's like a
Yeah.
big thing about college basketball. You see a lot of late game free throws that are missed that kind of change the way the game goes. So maybe that's what the Duke players were thinking. Maybe they just made a boneheaded mistake. Really, we don't know. And it's kind of tough to even ask players those questions after the game as like reporters and stuff like that because they don't even know. They're still trying to process what just happened. So I thought that
I'll
game
say
was,
one thing
yeah.
that has changed over the years. There
Hmm.
is no way under those circumstances, and it's popular today, and it comes back to bite you in the butt. One-handed passes. If you
Yeah.
have a two-hand pass and a guy jumps in front of you, you go to throw it, but you can bring it back. You can't bring that back. And
Yeah, that's very true.
that's something to keep in mind in the coaching profession.
So I wanted to ask you guys this. There's the Final Four coming up, obviously, this weekend. We've got Illinois versus UConn and Michigan versus Arizona. Do we have any predictions on who we think is going to move on to the national championship?
Joe, you want to take that first?
I watched 0 minutes of college basketball this season, so I am woefully unprepared for this conversation.
I
I'm
would
just here to listen to
yeah.
Coach tell some pretty good stories. Don't mind me.
Okay.
I would say personally, from what I've seen, I'm going to take Michigan over Arizona, and I'm probably going to take Michigan the whole way. I think Michigan just looks unbeatable as of right now. I feel like we're in the Final Four, and it doesn't feel like they've struggled in the tournament whatsoever. So I'm definitely going to take Michigan over Arizona, even though I think a lot of people had Arizona at the start of the tournament. And then I really like Illinois, but it's just like when you win a game like that as UConn, it's hard for me to not pick them because it's like that was the game UConn should have lost. So like the way I'm looking at it is like UConn already has a loss in the tournament, right? Like that was the game that should have knocked them out. I don't see them playing from behind once again, and I think Dan Hurley is going to have them super, super prepared.
I don't dispute that, but I'm taking Arizona, and here's the reason why.
Okay.
Patino gave him all he can handle. Patino's
Hmm.
a great coach.
He is.
Um, his I won't go there, but he's a great coach. They got their butts kicked. They truly did. And Arizona, I think, and Michigan's really tough. You've got three great teams. I think personally, Illinois is the team that I would rank fourth, and
Hmm.
it's a tie for first with everybody else, in my opinion. So I think, however it goes, but I like Arizona, then Michigan, if I had to put it, then Connecticut. That's how I would put it.
Yeah, and coach, what game were you talking about that you feel like Arizona was tested a lot?
Uh, I don't,
Like,
I can't
do you
remember.
feel like they've really just like rolled through this
Yeah,
tournament and kind of just like you feel like they are kind of similar to Michigan where they haven't really struggled? Because I'm looking at their box scores right now, and to be honest, Arizona's basically killed everyone they've played. They killed
yeah.
Long
No,
Island
I
in the
don't think
first
they've
round.
been. What I meant
Utah
was they've kind
State,
of
yeah.
rolled and they haven't been tested. I should have said.
Yeah. Yeah, I kind of agree with you though, because that's kind of was my take with Michigan as well. Is like I feel like both of these teams have not really seen anybody that's been on their level. You could maybe argue Purdue was in it for a little bit with Arizona, but Arizona ended up pulling away, and I think they won by like 15.
Right.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I
And
like
Purdue's
both
a
of
hell of
those
a
teams.
team.
Purdue is really good, and I mean, for as long as I can remember, it feels like Purdue's in the Sweet 16, Elite Eight, Final Four like every year. So.
Yeah.
That's really
They have a great
cool.
legacy at Purdue.
Yeah.
Great legacy for
Um,
generations.
Yeah. I remember one of my favorite players to watch in college. He ended up fizzling out of the NBA just because he was really small and he kind of didn't have the build. But like Carson
Sure.
Edwards was such a good player for Purdue. It was fun to watch him. Yeah, Purdue's got some good players. Zach Edey obviously was a great player. We
Yeah.
talked about him a little bit. But I kind of wanted to move over to the NBA because there was some
Okay.
big news that came out earlier this week where the NBA is officially getting two expansion teams. We're going to get a team in Seattle and we're going to get a team in Las Vegas. And I believe that they will be playing their first season in the 2028-2029 season. And one team from the Western Conference is going to have to go over to the Eastern Conference because both of those teams are going to now be in the West. So, what are your guys' kind of thoughts on the whole expansion? I'm pretty sure for me, this is like the first league expansion that I've kind of experienced. I don't think there's been one in a long
Yeah.
time outside of hockey. Hockey's had a
Yeah.
couple, but yeah, there hasn't been one in MLB, NFL, NBA. So, what are your guys' kind of thoughts on the whole expansion?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
Go for it, coach.
Whoever's got some
Go for
thoughts.
it, coach.
Seattle is an all-time basketball town.
Hmm.
To have the Sonics leave there to go to Oklahoma City, I still can't figure out why they did that.
Yeah.
They are as rabid as Detroit, which is an amazing basketball town. New York, LA, you put them up with anybody. Seattle's that town. Vegas, of course, it will go crazy because you have people there all the time,
Hmm.
and it's two great expansion moves. The NBA has become a world league, not just a local league, and
Hmm.
having those number of teams will create even more interest. When I was growing up in your guys' age, there was only 12 NBA teams. And to me, that's the biggest difference in the quality of play from then to now. Because if you have 12 teams, and let's put 12 on a roster, 12 times 12 is 144. And now you have, if you get 30 teams, or it'll be 32, I can't remember
Hmm.
what it'll be. But multiply that, you have almost triple the number of players.
Hmm.
And so there are players in the NBA now that are starting that probably couldn't make the rosters
Yeah.
that time. So other than that, it's a tremendous, and the influx of the Europeans has truly changed the game as well.
Yeah, Coach, that kind of brought something to my mind that I wanted to mention to you. I've been thinking about this a little bit. I was talking to my buddy about it and my dad a little when I was just on a trip with my dad out in Ohio, which was a lot of fun. But I was talking to him about basketball because he's one of the so-called like old heads that doesn't really
Yeah,
like the current NBA and the way that the landscape of the NBA is
yeah.
now. So I was talking to
Your
him a
dad's a
little bit
great
about
dude.
it. Yeah, no, he's awesome. I
Your
love my
dad's a
dad.
great dude.
He's hilarious, dude. But what I was basically explaining to him was personally, I think on average, I would say the really good teams in the NBA today are better than some of the good teams back in the day. Not saying that they're all better than the ones from back in the day. I'm just saying on average. But when it comes to the bad teams in the NBA today, I genuinely think some of these bad teams are some of the worst teams that have ever been put on a court for basketball. Like you got the Wizards, you've got the Pacers this year. You've got teams that just look like they do not belong. Like I was looking at the standings. I don't know what it is. It's something ridiculous. Where there was like, I think there's three or four teams in, let's see. There are three teams in the Eastern Conference alone right now that don't even have 20 wins. So there's
Yeah.
three teams that are on pace to have 60 or more losses. Like that is a joke.
And you
Um,
better be careful because on that one, the coaches are all saying, well, do I play my starters and not get the best draft pick or the best draft round next year? And
yeah.
don't think that the coaches aren't thinking that, the general managers,
No,
etc.
they are for
But they
sure.
can
They're
never, ever utter that
say it.
publicly.
I know. And that's the
And
problem too. And that's why Adam Silver, I mean, this is a little bit off topic, but Adam Silver has been he's been kind of having the league vote on new rules in terms of like anti-tanking because
right,
it is getting blatantly obvious. Like the Utah Jazz, I remember at some point in the season, like shut down Lauri Markkanen, and like Lauri
Right,
Markkanen's by far their best player.
right.
He wasn't even really that hurt. You've got teams like the Kings who are trading away young talent all the time. You trade away De'Aaron Fox, you get nothing in return, and then it feels like they're not even starting some of their best guys. Sabonis has been in and out of the lineup all year. The Pacers, like the Wizards, especially, like I could go on and on. Like all of these teams are just a joke, and I don't know if it's because they're trying to tank, like we're saying. I don't know if there's too big of a skill differential in the NBA today. Like you look at the teams like the Thunder, the Spurs, the Celtics, like you put any of those three teams and put them next to any of these bottom three teams, and I feel like the gap is just it's astronomical. It's not typically like this.
You're
Well, to
going
be
to my
fair,
very first point, and my very first point is that the league has been diluted. There's only so many great players. I mean, there are guys in the NBA now that wouldn't have made rosters. Remember, I talked about that earlier
Yeah, no, and
back in the
I
day,
agree to
and
that to
that
some
doesn't mean
extent
they're
for
great,
sure.
not great players, but the rosters from the seventh man down aren't what they used to be. But that's just
I
a,
also
you
Oh yeah, what's up, Joey?
I think that to your point, Stos, the problem with what, like for the example you put,
Hmm.
what's the one thing that the Spurs, the Celtics, and who was that third team you said?
Thunder.
The Thunder. What's the one thing that those guys kind of have in common?
They're all well. You are. There's a few things. Are you gonna say one? They all have like an MVP candidate.
No, I'm
Is
not
that
even going
okay?
that. I'm not even going that deep. I mean, the way coach is right. It's so the top end talent and the parity
Hmm.
between the top end talent and the lower end talent is so vast that you kind of have to luck into one of these guys. And I mean, the difference between like the Spurs and the Wizards. If the Wizards had the first overall pick in that lottery and they took Wemby, what are we thinking about Washington right now?
right.
Yeah, but I
And it's
also
the
want to
same
say
thing with
this.
Boston.
Yeah.
Boston didn't have the first overall pick, but they got the best player in Tatum in that draft. And so
Yeah,
it's
but
kind of one
they.
of those,
Mhm.
it's a little bit of that like, they didn't necessarily need the top overall pick to take Tatum, but they kind of
Mhm.
looked in that Tatum was the right pick. Same thing with the Suns. They got Devin Booker in outside of the top 10, which is like, whoa,
Yeah, I think some of it
especially
goes into
today.
that, but you also have to
And I
look at
mean, you look at
like,
these teams like
yeah.
The Wizards, I think, are going to be everybody's sleeper favorite next year to, make the playoffs because you have Trey Young and you stashed him. You have Anthony Davis and you stashed him. You add hopefully a top three pick to this core. You
Hmm.
get back a healthy Anthony Davis, you get back a healthy Trey Young. And, we've talked about it. Why can't that team push for a top six
Well,
seed in the East?
I think the problem with it is like I think it's the organizations as a whole because like I'll use players from all three of these teams I was just bringing up as examples. Like you
Mm-hmm.
have the Celtics, Spurs, Thunder, right? You've got Isaiah Joes, you've got Devin Vassell's, you have Baylor Shiremans. Like you have players on all these teams that the GMs and the organizations put trust into to
Mm-hmm.
actually develop and become good role players. Like some of these teams, they're just trying to find the star, and then they don't care at all about the other four dudes on the court or the next five guys that are coming off the bench. Like these three teams at the top are developing players from their best player to the last player on their bench. Like you look at the Wizards, and I couldn't even name you the last five guys on the end of their bench because there's no
There
developing with
goes to the
teams like
talent.
that.
There goes It's part to the talent discrepancy
But
across
yeah,
the
but what I
league.
was trying to say with the whole thing with Wemby is like, even if the Spurs didn't get Wemby, do I think that they would be a team right now with 17 wins? Personally, I don't. I think that the Spurs are a great franchise. I think that they would have found a way to retool their roster a little bit to at
Yeah, of
least
course.
be playing like competitive, right? Like the
Hmm.
Wizards, like I've watched a Wizards game this season. I've only watched a couple, but I've seen them on TV. And when I watch them, I'm genuinely asking myself, how is this an NBA team? Like when Bam Adebayo scored 83 points, this isn't discrediting his 83. He still got 83. There were some
Yeah.
unethical parts to that 83 at the end of the game, in my opinion, with you're intentionally fouling when you're up 30. That to me is
To
just
be fair, Bam
disrespectful.
did say, but there was a clip. You see that where
Mhm.
they saw Bam like, guys, don't foul. Like it's
Yes, I
don't
did see
foul him,
that.
guys.
Yes, yes.
So
No, I
I
agree.
don't can't
I'm not
necessarily
getting,
knock Bam
yeah.
for that one.
I'm not knocking
But I
Bam.
also think that yeah, there
It's
is
just
a
yeah. The Wizards, dude, you can't
it's a
let
superstar problem, right? Because like you have a couple guys on that Wizards team that are pretty good. Below Koulibaly, you have Trey Johnson. You have a couple of these guys that
Alexander
are
Sarr, yeah.
you have a lot of these guys who are good players who potentially could be great players. But it's that thing of like when you have a fourth option on the Celtics and you're asking him to be the one option, like that kind of thing matters because all of a sudden you're getting number one option assignments on defense. You have the
All I'm
league's best
saying,
defenders
yeah.
and
I
you have
just
that volume. And if you're not that productive with the volume, your numbers like that and XYZ 1, 2, 3. I think getting I don't know how this became a Wizards podcast, but you get Anthony Davis in the room, you have a bona fide superstar. You get Trey Young in the room, you have as close to that second tier of superstar as you're
Mhm.
probably going to get. You move Sar down to the 3, you move Koulibaly, you move Johnson, you move all these guys down a peg, and then you add a top 5, top 3,
Yeah.
maybe the number 1 pick. You add that guy into this team, and all of a sudden you have the aged superstar talent. You have the young ascending guy who can take over the team when it's done, like a Cade Cunningham,
Hmm.
and then the Wizards could be pretty good. We got
Yeah,
really off topic.
yeah.
My bad, y'all. We got really off
No,
topic.
you're good, dude. I think the only
Go
thing
Wizards.
I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think the only thing I would disagree on, and then we can move on, is just the fact that like an NBA team should not be letting somebody whose previous career high was 41 score 83 points. Like that defense is atrocious. Like I was watching the game and they what bothered me the most about it is that they went from not doubling Bam Adebayo the entire game, just letting him bully them for 40 minutes straight. And then when he finally does have, I think like 74 points or something ridiculous, they're like, okay, we're going to triple team Bam Adebayo. So they are throwing 3 players on Bam Adebayo. And I watched him get like 3 assists in a row because he's just throwing the ball to somebody who is wide open. So you're also
Yeah.
now, because you decided to not defend him for 40 minutes, you're now saying, okay, let's throw the entire integrity of this game, even though we're down 30 points, just so that he doesn't get to 81 or whatever it was. And now you're just letting players on the other team shoot wide open threes. It's like, what defensive game plan is that?
Man,
There are, you know
that's
what I'm
such a
saying?
that's got to be a historical outlier moment, right? But I think that just goes to show you again that like
But I think that's
every
the
player
state of
in
the
the
NBA.
NBA, every player in the NBA is so God-givenly gifted, right? Like,
Hmm.
yeah, how many players in the NBA could realistically drop 80 points if the ethics and the just team play goes out the window? You
But
know
the
what I mean?
problem is the problem is those you can say that for every generation. Everyone in
Yeah,
the 1960s could have scored 100 if there was no ethics involved. If I'm just intentionally fouling the entire game or I'm just letting one guy shoot the entire game, but that's not
yeah.
basketball. At that point, we're just like on the
That's pickup
court
hoops,
at the
dog.
park. Yeah,
That's rec runs.
exactly.
That's rec
So,
runs.
but you did give me a perfect segue into this next topic with the
As I
talent
tend to do.
level. So I wanted to bring up Luka Doncic because Luka Doncic just recently became the third youngest player to reach 15,000 career points, and he now has 16 40-point games this season. I think that's pretty ridiculous. I feel like, look, I'm a Celtics fan. Everyone on the podcast or that watches the podcast knows this, but I'm gonna give credit to the Lakers when I can, right? I'm not that biased, right, guys? So we got to talk about the Lakers a little bit here. And I think personally, the Lakers might be one of the hottest teams in the entire league right now.
Yeah, I concur with that. My mother's name was Grubic, so I'm half
Okay.
Serbian myself. And I'll tell you, Luca, oh my gosh, he is so good. He can't guard a fence post, but he is phenomenal offensively. He can do whatever he wants with the ball in his own rhythm and time. And it's very rare you see players that can do that. Jokic is another one that can do that. But the Lakers and LeBron still playing like he is. The center that came from the Portland, what's his name? He was at the Suns for a while.
Ayton, DeAndre Ayton.
Ayton's playing better.
Dominating.
Yeah. Reeves is shooting. They're a fun team to watch. They move the ball. I don't see them ball hogging, except for Donovan. He has every right to ball hog a little bit because he creates openings for other players. And the coach is doing, I think, a pretty good job. So, yeah, I like the Lakers. I think they've got a chance.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask you guys, where would you rank all time Luka Doncic in terms of just pure scoring? So like don't have to think about defense, don't have to think about passing or rebounding or anything like that. Just in terms of pure scoring, do you guys feel like he's like reached top 10 all time? Is he a top 20 scorer of all time? What are we kind of thinking?
Well, there are a lot of guys that are tremendous. And how old's Luka now? 27, 28, somewhere in there?
I think you're right. I think he's 27 sounds right. Let's see.
Yeah.
I can
I
look
thought he
it
was
up real
closer to
quick.
28, 29, no?
He's coach had it on the dot, 27.
Huh?
Yeah. So he's still not completely in his prime time. I mean, another 3 years. And then at about 30, they start to go down. But
Oh,
he is phenomenal. And then you got LeBron James. God, what a season he's having for his age.
Yeah.
Is
That's
he in the top
unbelievable.
ever? I wish you guys could have seen Maravich play. I mean,
P. Maravich,
Pistol.
Pistol Pete.
is
I
that the
saw a
Pistol
video
Pete?
on him actually the other day. He was coming. I saw some stuff coming across my For You page on TikTok that was about him, and it was like
Yeah.
just showing all these different drills that he used to do.
Yeah.
Like he used to like take the ball, put it behind his knees, like he would drop the ball from behind his knees, clap his hands in front of his knees, and then catch the ball before it would hit the ground. It's like the
Right.
amount of reaction time and the amount of quick hands you have to do stuff like that is insane.
I
I
would
can't even
recruit it
put in
as a
the
safety.
picture. I
Yeah.
can't put in the picture what that looks like, Sto, so I might need you to stand up and show me real quick.
I like that, Joey. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I was just
I'll have to put it up for the
too many moving
audience.
parts.
I
Too
was
many moving
recruited
parts.
by Maravich's dad, who was the coach to LSU, and because my forte was rebounding, and I didn't go because of the distance. I grew up in Southern California,
Mhm.
uh, but I got to talk on the phone to Pete a couple times, and since I could speak a little bit of Serbian, we would communicate that way a little bit, but. Phenomenal. And then there's great score, Elgin Baylor. Oh my gosh, what a player he was. Uh, Great. You talk about a great scorer, Rick Barry. Now there's an underrated guy. Rick
Mhm.
Barry, check his stats out. The leading college, leading pro, leading ABA scorer. What a phenomenal player he was. Let's see who else really comes to mind.
Now,
Uh,
Coach, I got a question. There's a
sure.
player that I liked watching. What do you think of Jackie Moon when he played for the Flint Tropics?
I can't have seen him enough to give you an honest opinion. I just, I just can't. I'm sorry.
I'm I'm messing with you, Coach. That's from a yeah, it's from a
It's a
movie. I'm
movie. It's
messing with
from
you,
a
Coach.
movie.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you got me
yeah,
on that one. You notice I only bit halfway. I spit the hook back out.
yeah. No, but coach
And he
also
invented the
he
lob.
didn't fall for
Yeah,
it, man.
He
He
invented the
did.
lob.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Joey's
But
just here to throw us off, I swear.
yeah,
I'm just here for the vibes, man.
yeah, amen. Yeah, it's just like me. When you get to be my age, you think, well, I'm old and ugly, but I wish I was still young and studly. I'll give you a phrase I used to use because I'm 6'8", and I go in
Yeah,
there and
Coach.
you're 6'8",
You
looking
get
great,
you get
want a date? I'll pick you up my 88 and I won't be late. Now I
okay,
got
Coach. And
yeah,
he's got bars.
Hey,
You gave us
Thunder.
homework last week, Coach. I want to
Yeah.
give you some homework. Watch Semi
Okay.
Pro with Will Ferrell. Watch Semi
Okay.
Pro with Will Ferrell.
I've seen that. I love that show. I just don't remember the name of it.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, he's Jackie Moon in that. It's
yeah.
hilarious. It's a good
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
I gotta watch. What's the one with KD? I feel like I watched it once as a kid. Do you remember which one I'm talking about? Is it like Thunderstruck
Oh,
or something?
it's like that
Uh,
Nickelodeon movie, right?
It's like the one where he loses his like basketball abilities and like the kid gains them. It's like really funny. It's a good
Yeah.
one.
No, well,
Um,
my two favorite are Hoosiers and Blue Chips.
yes, Hoosiers is a really good one.
There is not a better movie. If you're a high school coach or played in high school, that is, they really pretty well depicted what it's like.
No, for sure. And I feel like basketball movies are great. I love football and baseball. Like just sports movies
Yeah.
in generals are so good.
Yeah,
Amen.
you're right.
Amen.
Thunderstruck, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, it was Thunderstruck. That was the one I was thinking
Yeah.
about. Because that came out when we were like, that was like probably right like the peak time
That
when me and you were watching like Nickelodeon. We were probably like 9.
I'm not gonna lie to you, dude. That might have been the first time I ever knew who Kevin Durant was.
Yeah, because that's what I'm saying. Like we were really young when that movie came out. Because I think I probably started like actually paying attention to basketball for the first
Yeah,
time, like really
2012. He's
young.
in a Thunder's
Yeah,
jersey and everything.
2012. Yeah,
Let
because
me
that
give you
scene,
guys
yeah.
a Kevin Durant story you'll like.
Hmm.
So I'm coaching at Pepperdine, and in the summertime, all these guys come to Malibu to vacation. And Reggie Miller brought Kevin Durant in, and one of the players that was trying out for the Dallas Mavericks was there, and they were working him out. And so as the as Durant and Miller were giving the guy advice, the phone rang of the player that was there, and he went over and picked up the phone. Big mistake. So when he picked up the phone, Reggie goes over and says, "Hey, let me see that new kind of phone." And got the phone, threw it down, and stepped on it. He says, "I'm not wasting my effing time for you to be on the phone when I'm out here trying to help you." And Durant and him were laughing like crazy. But that's the kind of win it all mentality
Wow.
that it takes that Miller and Durant have. And they're both of them, in the limited time I knew them, were very good people as well.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. That's a crazy story. That is honestly like those are those like stories you hear around the NBA that like you
Yeah,
would never know unless somebody who was
yeah.
there like heard about it. That's super cool. Yeah, Reggie
Here's another
Miller.
story you'll like.
Yeah.
Alvin Adams, you remember him?
Hmm.
He played for this when Phoenix had that one run and won the NBA with Charles Barkley uh,
Hmm.
um, and Paul Westphal. They were in Buffalo when Buffalo had a team, and there's the famous chicken wing place there called the Anchor Bar. So after a game, Westfall and Adams go into the bar and they have a contest. How many chicken wings can you eat? And it got well over 40 for Alvin Adams. And he got so sick he couldn't play in the
No
game
way.
the next day. And of course, they kept that up under wraps until they retired. But that was a great story that Paul told. Yeah.
No, that's really cool, Coach. Well, we
Yeah.
appreciate you having us, or we appreciate you joining the podcast with us again, Coach. But
I forgot we were on Coach's podcast, not the other way around.
But
Yeah.
one last thing before we go, because we have about a couple minutes here left. But Coach, do you have a Wilt Chamberlain story or something you wanted us to? We'll have to. You know what we'll do, Coach, so that we have more time for this.
Okay.
We'll dedicate like half of a podcast to Wilt Chamberlain so that we can like
Okay.
actually have an in-depth talk about
Yeah.
it because I feel like it's going to take up a lot of our time on one of the podcasts here.
Oh
So
yeah.
we'll plan that out for the next one. So what we'll do is we'll have Chamberlain be like the first or the second half of the
I
podcast, and
got
then
you.
the rest will just
Idea
be
happening. Let me
yes.
run this by you, Stos. First half of the episode, Coach can teach us youngins about Wilt Chamberlain, and then the
Mhm.
second half can be our bracket picks for the NBA postseason.
That's a good idea, Joey. That's what we'll
Yeah,
do.
very
So,
good.
Number one innovation, baby. That's what we do.
all right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Rivalry Podcast. Coach Joey, thank you for joining us today. And
Okay, now Joey, I got to ask you. And
yeah,
Yes.
how do people find this podcast? We got to get the people are watching to get it to
Oh.
other people. So how do we do this?
They don't find the podcast, Coach. That's the problem.
no,
Well,
it's on YouTube.
I'm joking. It's
Yeah.
on YouTube at Dose of Stos. Go to YouTube. If you know me and you know Stos, we post this on social media. So that's like, we do a good job of promoting it for us. And really, this is just kind of like our echo chamber. We like talking about sports. So this is something we can, and I like talking with Stos. We bounce ideas off of each other. It's a pretty good way to do it. But if you like what you see, Stos has a lot more stuff than just this podcast. He has a YouTube channel, which is what you're watching this on. He has a TikTok. He has all kinds of cool stuff on Instagram. So go there, guys. Go do that. If you like me, well, too bad. I don't. Hate to break it to you. And if you like Coach, well, this is the only place you can find him. So I guess
That's
you got to
right.
come back for more.
Yeah. Thank you so much, guys. I appreciate you the time.
Thanks, Coach.